Welcome to my review of Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. This is a companion to my recap of the movie, so if you need a refresher, click the card in the upper right corner to check it out. Otherwise, gather round, put on your silver shamrock masks, and enjoy the review. Halloween 3 is one of those movies that was quickly forgotten after its release, but has since developed a cult following. And after finally watching it recently, I can understand why. On the face of it, there's something intriguing about this movie. As of Halloween Kills, there are 12 movies in the Halloween franchise, and this is the only one not to feature Michael Myers. Well, except for brief appearances on TVs in the movie. That's right, Halloween 1 and 2 exist as fictional films within the Halloween 3 world. In case you don't know the background, John Carpenter and Deborah Hill worked together on the first Halloween movie. After that, they had no interest in bringing Michael Myers back. That's why John Carpenter chose not to direct Halloween 2 and has since called it an abomination and a horrible movie. They were more interested in turning the franchise into a series of standalone films, each focused on a different Halloween-themed story. Moving in this direction was the only way the studio could keep Carpenter and Hill around for a third outing. So, Halloween 3 was their attempt at the first of these standalone films, and after it flopped, Myers returned again, and again, and again. You get the idea. So Halloween 3 now stands alone as the only standalone, and I think that's part of what's given it its cult status. The fact that mainstream audiences buried it, and most see it as just a bizarre footnote in the franchise, gives it an allure that's at least one significant ingredient in its cult status. The other ingredients are the fact that it is a bizarre movie and has a few memorable touchstones that, if you allow them to, will forever be associated with Halloween in your mind, as in the holiday, not Michael Myers. The first thing that comes to mind is the commercial which plays ominously throughout the film.
8 more days to Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. 8 more days to Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
Using the London Bridges theme, it's a catchy song, and at the same time, it's unsettling because it juxtaposes the childish tune against the fact that it portends something awful. Until the end of the movie, we don't know exactly what it's counting down to, but we know it isn't good. Making it an actual countdown was also a stroke of brilliance. Rather than hearing the exact same lyrics each time, the song changes slightly, so it gives the days remaining to Halloween. The song becomes a creepy and weird, ticking time bomb that Tom Selleck is racing against. The masks themselves are also more detailed than normal kids' masks, so as a visual, they're unsettling on their own, and even more so thanks to the kids' methodical head bobbing in the commercial. It looks less like a dance and more like they're robots or hypnotized or something. Dan Chalice's kids singing and dancing to the tune gives me the same chilling effect.
Halloween, Halloween, Halloween.
Then there's the reveal of what the masks actually do. Once they're activated, they don't just kill the wearer, they blow up a cavern in their face. Then bugs and snakes crawl out of it. One of the biggest challenges in horror is coming up with novel ways to frighten us or creep us out. Once we've seen something enough times, we become numb to it. So, Halloween 3 came up with something new. It's terrifying, grotesque, and memorable. And finally, there's the overall weird concept at the center of this movie. What's Conal Cochran's big plan? He stole the blue stone from Stonehenge and chipped little pieces off it to embed in computer chips on every silver shamrock mask. Then, he plans to play a special Halloween commercial to activate them and give millions of kids throughout the country the bugs crawling out of your face treatment. Why? Because the planets are aligned, and it's time to revitalize the Festival of Samhain with a blood sacrifice. The festival which eventually became Halloween. The reveal has two things going for it. One, its blending of science fiction and the supernatural makes it especially bizarre. It's a particular blend you don't often see in the mainstream. You see plenty of sci-fi movies and plenty of supernatural horror movies, but when you bring the two together, it pushes your movie to a bizarre place most people don't want to go. And it means your film has a good shot at cult status. 2, it's terrifying. There are plenty of movies with stakes as large as humanity's very survival, but Halloween 3 doesn't put all of humanity or all of America in its crosshairs. It specifically targets children. That makes the awfulness of Cochran's threat even more palpable. When we get to the montage of children picking up Halloween masks and sealing their fate, it's impossible not to feel unsettled. And in the final scene of Chalice screaming into the phone for the commercial to stop, it's impossible not to feel your heart race.
For God's sake, please stop it. There's no more time. You've got to... Please, stop it. Stop it now. Turn
This is the moment where the bomb is about to go off. And if it does, it means millions of children dying in grotesque agony, probably in front of their parents. These are the things which make Halloween 3 memorable. The same way that no one forgets Michael Myers' mask, Jason Voorhees' mask, or Freddy Krueger's claws, viewers of Halloween 3 never forget this.
This is Chalice.
Or this. Or the final moments.
Stop it!
So, why wasn't Halloween 3 more of a success? Besides the obvious that audiences wanted to see more of this guy? Well, the problem with the movie is that the stuff I just listed is only a small portion of the runtime, and the rest of the movie is kind of bland and tonally confused. Talking about the tone, the movie has moments that are hard not to laugh at. But the movie doesn't go far enough in the comedic direction for these moments to feel intentional. Instead, they come off as unintentionally cheesy. Take the robots, for example. They're strong enough to crush a man's skull with their bare hands, or rip a man's head off. But Chalice easily shoves his hand into their stomach and rips some wires out. They seemed impossibly strong before, so this moment feels like a joke. Or when Robot Ellie attacks Dan at the end. He crashes the car and gets away, but wait, she's still alive. Then he beheads her, but wait, her dismembered arm attacks. He gets rid of it, and then, wait, her headless body attacks now. She comes back so many times, it feels like parody. There's also the moment where Ellie says she wants to go to Santa Mira, and we immediately cut to Dan with some beers, calling his wife to say he can't pick up the kids. A character who began as someone honestly concerned with solving the murder at his hospital is now a guy shirking responsibilities as a father for a pretty girl. Laughing at these moments is part of what makes the movie fun, but they also feel out of step with the tone established at the start of the movie, so for many, I think it diminishes their experience. For others, it helps raise the film's cult status. For me, it gets at the core of the thing I want most from this movie: more. Like I said before, outside of its memorable touchstones, the movie is bland in a lot of ways, and the tone is a good example. It's not serious enough to be taken fully seriously, but it's also not funny enough to be entirely funny. So it's stuck in this weird spot in between where I want more of either. Either embrace true horror and take the movie more seriously, or embrace the silliness and add more humor. The plot itself is also an issue. The movie starts with Ellie's father getting killed. Then, she and Dan want to find out why. At the end, Dan gets the answer and learns of a sinister plot. Where Halloween 3 struggles is in figuring out what to do between the starting incident and the climax. The entire middle act ends up feeling like the movie is just treading water until the final reveal. We get a half-baked romance between Ellie and Dan, the deaths of two characters we don't know or care about, Ellie and Dan walking around, and a brief tour of Cochran's mask factory. There are moments when we should feel surprise or suspense, but the moments pretty much fall flat. For example, at one point Ellie spots her father's car at the factory. This isn't exactly a surprise for us, because we already knew Silver Shamrock was behind his death. But it should be a tense moment since Ellie brings attention to her and Dan, putting them in Cochran's crosshairs. The problem is that Ellie has not been developed as a character at all. We know nothing about her, other than she wants to know why her father was killed. She also feels like she was introduced purely to exist as a love interest and victim for Dan to fight for later in the movie. For Dan, there was some attempt at character development, but it's pretty uneven. The scene I mentioned earlier, where he excitedly cancels plans with his kids so he can go with Ellie to Santa Mira, really undercut his character for me. At that point, I no longer saw him as a hero trying to get to the bottom of a murder, but as a father abandoning his kids for a romp with Ellie. Because our two main characters are under or weirdly developed, putting them in danger doesn't do a whole lot to build suspense. The only victims I truly cared about and felt suspense for were the countless children buying silver shamrock masks. And until the climax, that's not the immediate threat we're dealing with. So we needed some other compelling conflicts to keep the momentum going through the middle act. But Halloween 3 didn't find any. Instead, we basically spend the middle 40 minutes of the movie waiting for something to happen. Cochran's hideout at the end is a perfect metaphor for how I feel about the film. He's a man obsessed with Halloween, or at least its predecessor, the Festival of Samhain. That's a great opportunity to do something visually fun and interesting. His secret hideout could have been filled with Halloween imagery, including bizarre art and artifacts. They also allude to Celtic witchcraft as the origins of the blood sacrifice he's committing. So, at the center of his operation, they could have involved a bunch of strange occult items. Instead, when we get behind the curtains, it's a big, empty warehouse with some boxes and computers. The most interesting thing in it is a big rock. It was such a bland set for the movie's grand finale, and that's how the movie feels to me overall. Like the warehouse, it has a lot of potential, but ultimately, it's only filled with a few cool things. The masks, the bizarre manner of death, and that weird, memorable jingle.
Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. It's 4 days to Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
Anyway, that's my review of Halloween 3. I've been curious about this movie for a while, and I'm glad I finally checked it out. Although it's uneven, it has some very memorable touchstones that clearly left a mark. In fact, its 3 masks appear in the latest entry to the franchise, Halloween Kills. Though, I think it's time for the Myers canon to return the favor, and in Halloween Ends, on some TV in the background, I want to see an ad for Silver Shamrock. Thanks for watching this review, and if you enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more. With that, happy Halloween, and see you on the next One Take.
You've got to let me say it.
Happy Halloween.